I once met a lady at the airport, and she was already very old. She was accompanied by her son, and she touched my shoulder like this. And very calmly she said to me, "The other day I was listening. Is this a program you were doing?" I identified a defect in me that has been chaining me throughout my entire life, but I was not able to notice it. At 92 years old, which is the age I am today, she told me I was able to notice it while I was a prisoner of this perfect. I don't know how much time I have left late speak, but I know that on that day, the reflection you made enlightened my conscience in a way that it is as if I had stayed with him, and I no longer allow myself to live according to the rules of that deafie. Do you know when you realize that you participated in the process of the ore? How many times do I find myself living by the rules of my defects? Because when I start to live by the rules of my qualities, I become lighter for the other, I become happier, I naturally become more interesting. The first movement that we experience from conversion is the satisfaction of being who we are. Sometimes we end up thinking that our conversion is to please God, to God is happy to the extent that we are. So when I want to correct a defect of mine, and for this, the church teaches us the dynamics of sacrifices, right? Because it is a human being who lives adapted to his defects. The human being who lives under the rules of his defects, he is exportable. He is difficult at work. He is difficult within the family. He is difficult in the romantic relationships he will have. Why? Because he is a porcupine. He is always ready to help his thorns in the south. He is difficult for himself. You can observe very difficult people. They are difficult for themselves before they are unbearable to others. They are unbearable to themselves. That is why they have so much difficulty dealing with. Being with others, being instrumental in good things, right? So me, if I don't want to, the rules of my defects. If I don't, I bother to stop being adapted to them, to my vices. If I don't make this move, I will become a person exported. This is very interesting, because this should be a thermometer of conversion for us. I am bearable, because sometimes people, they forget to allow God to transform their hearts. Sometimes he only transforms the external aspect. But what about the heart? What is it that makes me be before? Personally, I usually say that we Christians are largely responsible for the ups and downs, for our lack of witness. Sometimes we have years and years and years of religious belonging, 20 years as a priest, 30 years as an encore. Are we unbearable? We are inelegant. We are rude. I don't know where God is in this story. If God's process in our lives is precisely to advance our hearts, it is to make us break the rules of defects. It is to stop being adapted to evil. If I become an unbearable person to others, I do need to reconsider. How much of God has already happened? What conversion is this? That doesn't make me a lighter person for others. It is the first sign, my people, of someone who says religious, because it is the fruit of spirituality in us. I don't feel better. I look into the eyes of others without having the pretense that I am better than them. Am I a good boss? It's okay to be you. A good boss is usually tough, demanding, but never arrogant. Demanding, but never intolerant. Demanding, but can't stand me. You know that once. It was when I was facing a difficulty that I was having. At the moment that I was seeing difficulties in life, I was realizing that my team was afraid of me, and nothing could be worse than that. It's one thing for your team to have respect for you. Another thing for them to be afraid. When I put fear in others, I need to review my conversion very honestly. I can't understand this. When in the exercise of being who I am, I mistreated people. I see that they don't exist. You think you're better than the good guy in the story. How many times do we see this? When we pass by the building, the doorman who is there. My God, this man is part of my life. He may not even enter my house every day, but I pass by him every day. I want to know who he is. I want to know his name. I want to participate. I want to establish with him from that moment on. Small that we the point 3 people do not look each other in the eyes. And we say that we are converted, or that we are in the process of colors. Okay, but what process is this that does not accelerate? Our simplicity, our lightness. God sometimes lets us loses the opportunity to access our heart because of our resistance or because of the cultivation of our vices. Sometimes. Can't recruit the best in yourself? Will this stay in the beat? All of us, if we are not careful, we will lose the reference of reality of what we really need to do. For what? Do it to reach the best of ourselves. For me to start living according to the rules of virtue. I have the sensitivity, the simplicity to identify my excesses, that which makes me a difficult person, and start working on it. And the sooner I start working on it, the greater the benefit. What is good about us living the conversion? We become more pleasant. We become happier. And that is the first benefit of the thing. I want to change what in me is this for me and for others. First, because I deserve this transformation. Second, because others deserve it. And me being there, a dynamic of this deserving. The others were there too. God is what? God is very happy. When a child recognizes what is there in him still, in hindrance to fulfillment, God is deeply happy every time we make a move of healing, restoration, change of habits. God is deeply happy every time we live. The consequences of conversion? Why these consequences? They act directly in our case. We are becoming different. As St. Augustine said that even for us to feel repentant, we already need to be under the influence of grace. May the grace of God happen today in our hearts, opening our eyes to conscience, so that we are able to perceive everything, ours, needs to be touched by merciful love, and that from this, in this mercy, we can return to birth, to take the place, return to seek what is essential for us to be. What does God want us to? It is easy for you to approach a child. Even at first they may treat you with a certain disdain, but soon you will break the barrier with her, and you will become a person. The closer you are, she will gain confidence in you. The child has a system, which revolves around few needs. Not us. Our world is very complex. And Jesus says that if we want to enter the heart of things, the heart of the world, we need to achieve the simplicity. God is deeply happy every time we make a move of healing, of restoration, and change of habits. God is deeply happy every time we live. The consequences of conversion? Because these consequences act directly on our character. When will we become different as God enters? We will build ourselves like this. The more I allow this project of simplicity to take over my heart, the greater the possibility I have of being a favorable response to the world, a response that helps to build. Since there are so many people today not willing to build absolutely anything. Me, Father Fabio, if I become an unbearable person to others, I need, review how much of God has already happened in. See, people, it's not just toxins that make us addicted. Hatred makes us addicted. Prejudice makes us addicted. Sometimes we don't have the courage to pick up a gun and kill another person, like those people did in Paris. But we kill others in another way. We treat them with our contempt, with our arrogance. We point at others in a cruel way and still feel like Christians because of it. When we don't give others the opportunity to be who they are, when we limit them to being that character we imagine, I don't like that person because they're like this, like that. Who said, did you imagine it like that? Jesus teaches us. We who are little Christians understand eternity as a beautiful and happy opportunity to be in God and with the people we love. Wanting and seeking this kingdom of God already gives us the opportunity to start building this kingdom here today. Because it's natural that if I want to live this eternity, if I seek to deserve this eternity through my actions, right? I would naturally be a better person who has the kingdom of heaven as their goal. Live this feat of making the human kingdom also very pleasant. It is when we choose to reduce the differences between us, when we are willing to be a little more loving, to respond less with hate than the love of people, is the main engine for our transformation. So, if we have a home where people love each other, where love, the bond, is cultivated, we will certainly have a very favorable environment for happiness and people's fulfillment. And this is interesting, because when I am truly loved by someone, I end up accepting the word of the one who loves me. I accept correction better when it is done with love, because I feel that they are very committed to my well-being. Inquiry. I want to change what is unbearable in me, for me and for others. First, because I deserve this transformation. Second, because others deserve it. And if I am there, in the dynamics of this deserving, others are there too. God is there, because God is there. It brings great joy when a son recognizes him. What is still in him? Is it an obstacle to fulfillment? Jesus speaks here for us to reach this kingdom, for us to enter the kingdom that is eternal and this kingdom that is already anticipated here. We need to strip ourselves. Is it an obstacle to your fulfillment? Jesus says that for us to reach this kingdom, for us to enter the kingdom that is eternal and this kingdom that is already anticipated here, we need to strip ourselves. Have a simple heart. Yes, that's when I'm willing. Not to cling to what is excess. Can you observe a child? The first understanding they have of the world, it's their most urgent need. They can't see beyond that. A child's context is very simple. It's a very simple context. It's very direct. There's not much complication. As we become adults, we become more complex. The structure of our lives becomes more complex. We have many needs, right? We build so many structures to be happy. Not a child. Let a child go out into a field with his father, his mother, an 11-point ball, a bicycle, and the world is perfect. But as we grow up, we create needs and we move further and further away from happiness because we impose so many conditions on ourselves to be happy that it becomes difficult to achieve this happiness. We cannot lose. We do not have. We do not have the right to do this to ourselves. Would losing the opportunity to make our sufferings worth it? Again, if we do not make this movement of simplification, of simplicity, of simplifying our processes, we will not be friends with anyone, because we will always remain in the waiting room of prejudice or in the waiting room of resentment, hurt, and hatred. How many times do I find myself living according to the rules of my defects? Because when I start to live according to the rules of my qualities, I become easier for others. I become happier. I become naturally more interesting. Not even for me to lead others. No. The first movement we experience after conversion is the satisfaction of being who we are. Sometimes we think that our conversion is to please God, to please God. God is happy to the extent that we are. Today in Paris, we had a manifestation of hatred, of intolerance. When our heart is visited by this kingdom of heaven, this desire to deserve the kingdom, we anticipate it with our attitudes. That is why the Christian proposal is profoundly existential. It is the boat, our life. It is not a theory that only has us kneeling before a sacred altar. Christianity is, above all, a proposal to have inside our heads, in our mental system, a way of being and living. I personally usually say that we, Christians, are largely responsible for atheism in the world, for our lack of witness. Sometimes we have years and years and years of religious belonging, 20 years as a priest, 30 years as a bishop, and we are unbearable. We are inelegant. We are rude. I don't know where God is in this story. If God's process in our lives is precisely to advance our heart, is it to make us break the rules of defects? Is it to make us stop adapting to evil? If you have this, if you give yourself the right to have this, to simplify, to live this detachment that makes you happy, then you are on the right path. I think this is the mysticism that we all need to live daily. This newness that the year can represent. This opportunity that we have to believe that something can be different. It can be a wonderful year because it will be wonderful, not because of the material set that we will have, the material that we will achieve. It may be that we take steps back, that we earn less, that we choose to have less. But if we make an emotional, spiritual investment, this year I want it to be a year where I will love a lot. I want to be present in the lives of the people I love. I want to be present in the lives of my children, my friends, my father, my mother. I want to be present in the lives of my brothers. I want to be present in the lives of those who work with me. I want to choose a year that makes me more of a child, more simple, with fewer complications, fewer complications. I say it again sometimes within our religious experience. This hypocrisy, it compromises the whole result. That God sometimes lets us loses the opportunity to access our heart because of our resistance or because of the cultivation of our vices. St. Augustine said that even for us to feel sorry for the mistake we made, we already need to be under the influence of grace. So let's ask for this. May God's grace happen today in our heart, opening our eyes, for our conscience, so that we are able to perceive everything that in us today needs to be touched by the merciful love of Jesus, and that from this love, this mercy, we can return to our place, assume our place, return to seeking what is essential for us to be. What does God want us to be? Or better, for Him to be what God knows we can be. And we have many days ahead of us to do this cleaning in Alba, apart from everything here. What prevents us from living the life we can truly live? The message was sent by Sandra from Brasilia, a text by Cora Coralina that I would like to keep for us today to help us reflect on the issues we have here on the program. A reporter asked Cora Coralina, who is a great poet, Goiânia, right? Goiânia? Who asked her, Cora Coralina, what does it mean to live well? And she said, I am not afraid of the years, and I do not think about old age. And I say to you, do not think either. Do not say, I am getting old. I am getting old. I do not say that. I do not say I am old, and I do not say that I am not listening well. Of course, when I need help, I say that I do. I always try to read and stay up to date with the facts, and this helps me overcome life's difficulties. The best script is to read and practice what you read. The good thing is to always produce and not sleep during the day. Well, I can't say that yesterday because I slept the whole afternoon, right? Because I arrived one night without sleeping. I need to sleep. I would meet her now in Coralina. Also, don't tell yourself that you're becoming forgetful, because that way you become even more so. If you are very careful with what you say about yourself, be careful with being too forgetful. I said stop with that. Start thinking positively. Don't fixate on so many defects in Lacanda, because you end up assuming those defects. I never say that I am sick. I always say I am fine. I never say that I am tired. No negative words. The more you say that you are becoming tired and forgetful, the more forgetful and tired you will hear. Nana, listen to me carefully, because now I am going to tell you. You will convince yourself of that and convince others. Is it true? So be quiet. Don't complain. She says, I know I'm many years old. I know I come from the last century, and I bring with me all ages, but I don't know if I'm old. No. Do you think I am? I can say that I am the earth, and I want nothing more than to be a daughter of this blessed land of Goiás, which call any old like me or older than me to exercise their rights. Is someone going to have to bury me? No, sorry. She says, I know someone is going to have to bury me, but I'm not going to do that to myself. I'm aware of being authentic, and I try to overcome the limits of my own personality every day, shattering everything that is old and dead inside me, because fighting is a vibrant word that raises the weak and determines the strong. The important thing is to sow, to produce millions of smiles of solidarity and friendship. I try to sow optimism and plant seeds of peace and justice. I say what I think with hope. I think about what I do with faith. Do what you must do with love, and I strive to be better every day, because we also learn kindness. Beautiful text. Cora Coralina has already died. She has already passed away. But she did not allow life to remain dead inside her, right? That is a lot. It is very edifying to hear a testimony. People who do not allow their souls to be discouraged, right, my people? Because we always have difficulties. That is why I like to always be the bearer of a word of encouragement, of struggle. It is not to pat anyone on the head. It is not to discover the value of struggle. What Jesus proposes to all the people he meets is struggle. Do not settle for your defects. Do not bury yourself before your time, right? As Cora Coralina says in the text, I know someone is going to bury me, but I'm not going to do that to myself. Sometimes we bury ourselves. We start dying before our time, right? We anticipate the burial process when I discover that I'm no longer cultivating joy, when I'm no longer receiving daylight, when I'm no longer celebrating my possibilities, when I've gotten used to life. Life can't. You can't get used to life. Life always needs to be an experience of enchantment. Today I need be enchanted by what I have. That's why there are people for whom there are no ready answers. We can't give ready answers to anyone's problems, because life before being a ready answer is a question that's worth asking. You ask yourself all the time, what can I do today to improve the world, right? And be a mysticism that leads us, that leads me, that leads you to this mysticism that doesn't allow us to stop in time, but that we welcome each day, each moment as a possibility. And we return to her text. Kindness is something that we learn to be good at. I learned to value life, didn't I? Sometimes we end up numbing our hearts. We get used to the difficulties that we have, and we end up failing to learn kindness. We end up failing to learn what is truly worthwhile in life. But things are very difficult in my life. I have achieved everything with a lot of sweat, Father, but everything really has to be this way. My daughter, I don't know any other way. You see, in my life, everything is the same. If we want results, we have to fight. It's no use. It'll fall from the sky. Nothing falls from the sky. Faith is born from the ground. I think we got things backwards, right? Our prayers should be directed to the ground all the time. That's where God blossoms. God is like a seed, a forest on the ground. This metaphor that God is in heaven, that's beautiful. But it's here. Look, it's by stepping on this ground that life happens. The strength that God gives me, the strength that God gives you is so that we can plant the garden. No one promised that our life will be a garden of flowers, but God promised the strength for us to plant. I'm here, thank God, full of health. Is my effort involved in this story? Yes, but I am a gift from God in me. I make my strength. Do you want to pass the entrance exam? Study. Just think. The priest prays for me. I won't pray. If you don't study, my prayers are useless at this moment. If you don't study, there's no point in sitting kneeling before the blessed sacrament with a book on your head. Or, Lord, help me pass the college entrance exam. Do your homework first. Then you have the right to wait for the dollar. We only have the right to wait for the impossible. After we've done everything we can. I know you're paying too much attention to what's difficult. Then everything gets even harder. People, life will always be determined by what we pay attention to. If you have a problem in front of you, you have two possibilities. Either you see the problem or you see the solution. There are people who only see the problem there, and it's hard to find the solution because they fix their eyes on the problem. That's when they don't have eyes to find the solution. And that depends on how we interpret life. There are people who love difficulties. There are people who love problems and end up becoming a source of problems because they are not willing to find solutions. There are people who do not know how to live without a problem. When we are faced with a difficult situation, it is very natural for other people, filled with the spirit of the people, to come and say if they're going to make it, or if not, it will not work, right? It is not, and there is always someone like that. I do not say I do not know, I do not think this thing will work. No, there's always a pig spirit ready to throw out, a destructive phrase that will discourage us. But no, if we do not pay attention to these speeches, we will draw courage from within us in a way we did not know we had. And sometimes everything is so difficult. No, it is not quite like that. It is that we look at everything in a difficult way. It is not that everything is difficult. It is that we look at everything in a difficult way. It cannot be like that. We are going to be a little more optimistic. Difficulties exist in everyone's life. They are everywhere. Now, the way we face these difficulties is what will make the difference. There are 5,000 people for 5 vacancies. Don't worry, okay? 90% of those 5,000 who are trying for this vacancy didn't study the way you did. If you truly prepare for things, you will already eliminate a good part of the competition. Because most are SOL. Most are living SOL. Most are doing SOL. There are few people who are truly taking life responsibly, the way it needs to be. There are few young people who, in the 1,617 years, are taking school seriously. There are few university students who are currently attending college with the discipline that the profession will demand one day. I always say, do you want to be a good professional? Study well what you are studying, because you don't have the right to be SOO. You don't. No one is exempt from this. You there in your field, you need to strive for your quality. If you are a doctor, you want to be a dentist. Do you know how much you need to improve yourself to stay on your feet in today's world? Today we are in the age of competence, and it is not a problem. This has to motivate us to want to, recognizing that it is the minimum within us. We deserve to take care of this minimum, to arrive, to improve this process more and more, to increase our possibilities more and more. And then, when we come up against our fragility, we have to learn from it. It does not have to discourage us, but much more than professional quality. Before it is our human quality. Much more than a good doctor, you need to be a good father first. Be a good son. Be a good brother. This is what truly makes happiness settle inside you. There is no point in fulfilling yourself in your profession if you do not fulfill yourself as a person. And that is what we are talking about today. It is this human improvement. And in the college of life, we learn all the time. There is no teacher to teach us how to be a father, to teach us how to be a brother. It is not by looking into the eyes of those we love that we will discover the right measure, the learning of each day, so that we can be a better human being in today's world full of bad people, enough of people. Let's give quality. Starting with you, no matter how you have lived until today, God's word to us is always optimistic. God continues to bring values to you. God continues to believe that your heart can be better. God continues to believe that in this heart, often marked by failures, there's a victory here. You can get there, but if you don't give up, may the blessing of Almighty God be upon us. He wants a Father, a Son, and a Holy Spirit. Father Fabio, fear is sometimes a lack of faith. We need to distinguish well, right? Which fears are positive, right? Fear it is our reaction. It is a human reaction because it is not just ours, right? Animals are also afraid. It is directly associated with protection. When I feel that my life is being threatened, I am afraid. Are I protecting myself? It is like that if you are exposed to a risky situation. We need to be afraid. It is natural for us to be afraid. It is good for us to be afraid. What we cannot do is let fear be too decisive and stop us from living because of it. Everyone is afraid. We are afraid of being alone. We are afraid of being abandoned. We are afraid of being betrayed. We are afraid of losing our jobs. We are afraid that things will not work out. All of this is an experience that we go through. When we start to manage this too, we start to create hope. The only way to minimize the power of fear is to nurture this hope that makes us move forward. So, if I am afraid and if I live in an unsafe city, I create my protection scheme, but I do not stop living because of this fear. Without it, it is much more important. There's a way of being that faith is one. It is an attitude, right? It is not one. How could I say that? Every time we talk about a person of faith, we are talking about attitudes that person has that demonstrate what faith is. Faith when you don't have all the clear written data. Faith is exactly that. I don't have all the information. I'm not absolutely sure, but I trust. And when I was in college, I treated faith a lot as intuition. That intuition is when you look at a certain reality, right? And you think if it will work out, then someone asks you, but why do you think it will work out? I don't know. I think it will work out. That's an intuition. Faith. I believe it is an intuition even more elaborated. Why isn't it given to us by God? How is it that God gives us faith every time we believe? Every time we put ourselves in life with an attitude of faith, it increases within us. It is that beautiful optimism that you notice in the person. You know that the person has difficulties. If you know that a person has 1,000 problems, they would have 1,001 reasons to give up, but they remain standing. That is why Our Lady Mary is considered the woman of faith. She had 1,000 reasons to be discouraged. Imagine, you are on Calvary watching your son's crucifixion, remembering all the projects he had, all that he promised, the establishment of the kingdom. None of that was happening. Quite the opposite. It was complete humiliation that she was witnessing her son. But she believed. Mary was the woman who believed in many moments of her life. She showed us the meaning of faith. She did. She had. She was not a woman who just waited for things to happen. Was she afraid? Of course she was afraid. But her faith was greater than her fears. So, in this aspect, faith helps us to deal with fears. It is the cultivation of an operative hope. That is, I do not neglect things like that. I trust in God's protection. So I drive down the highway at 180 kilometers per hour? No, that's not fair. That's not fair to protection I'm asking God for. How am I going to ask, pray, and ask God protect me if I don't do my part of the miracle? Everyone in the car with me is going to be afraid anyway. Then I, in an idiotic way, say, I have faith in God. God protects me. No, that's stupid. Having faith is realizing that an attitude of common sense has been installed within you. The person has common sense. If you want to recognize a person of faith, just realize that they have common sense to analyze things. They are a balanced person. They are a person who really gives advice, who is in accordance with the situation. Experience of faith, all of that, right? We are an existential attitude. Existential faith, that's it. It passes through our existence all the time, through everything that is part of our life. And when we live this process of faith well, when I place my trust in the hands of God, when I trust in the hands of God, my problems, my difficulties, and I do my part, I don't need to be afraid. Fear is when we have that awareness. I prayed and asked God, but I didn't study to take the test. So I go to. That's it, isn't it? It passes through our existence all the time, through everything that is part of our life. And when we live this process of faith well, when I place my trust in the hands of God, when I trust in the hands of God, my problems, my difficulties, and I do my part, I don't need to be afraid. Fear is when we have that awareness. I prayed and asked God, but I didn't study for the test. I'm going to the test with fear. Don't I go with faith? Now, if I study, if I do my part and ask God for everything to happen in the best way, then I'm not afraid, even if I don't pass. I was saying this to a friend of mine yesterday. She was anxiously asking for something. Goodbye. This is for them. Be careful because you may be asking God here in His will. Okay, but how am I going to know what His will is? I don't know. Put it in His hands. Do your part, and if it doesn't work out, accept what didn't work out as His will for your life. This is a big problem, right? Sometimes we pray asking God for what we want, but what we want is not always what is best for us. If you offer food to a child and show him that there is chocolate cake, and there is a naughty one, of course he wants greens, the chocolate cake. It is much more pleasant. Now I ask, what is better for this child, the chocolate cake or the green salad? If you are going to listen to what your child asks for, will you give him the chocolate cake? But if you are going to respond according to his needs, will you give him the green salad? And sometimes in our prayer life, the same thing happens. We insistently ask God for the chocolate cake, but He knows that the best thing for our life is the green salad. Make an effort to make everything happen. But if it doesn't work out, rest assured. Don't be bitter because it didn't work out, because sometimes God is depriving us of many things. Sometimes God is holding back many things so that it doesn't happen there. Precisely because of that isn't the best for us, but we need to have this peace of mind. There are so many people who say, oh, I'm going to get married to be happy. Those who get married to be happy will never be happy. No one gets married to be happy, but because you're happy and you meet the right person, you'll get married. But the right person doesn't mean there won't be challenges. The right person doesn't mean you'll have a problem. The right person means there won't be contradictions. But the right person is the one God dreamed of for you. And if God dreamed of you, you, with that person, will face everything to be together, happy. We outsource our happiness. Stop outsourcing your happiness. Stop putting it on someone else's shoulders. How many people who end their marriage fall into a deep hole and say, Father, what will become of me now without that person? What will become of you now? You will be the best version of yourself. Because whoever left you here lost you, lost a wonderful person, the good person that you are, and you will not suffer. Because this person who left you is not worth a night of crying? Don't talk, so lift your head. King means resilience. Upholstery, chest. Okay, put some makeup on your face. If you are a woman, fix your hair and live. And if you are a man, put on some perfume. Cut your hair. Put on a nice shirt and go live your life. Because whoever left you does not deserve a sleepless night, does not deserve a night of tears, does not deserve a night of suffering, does not deserve. That is why we have to value Christ. Value the Lord. Value God who does not exchange us, who does not abandon us, who does not exchange us like a product, but treats us like people. Like people? Like God? Because I am a priest? Of course, here, people, my vocation is not yours. It is my vocation. I am a priest because I decided to give my whole life to God. Without reservations, without reservations. I am happy like this. I am happy like this. Truly, truly, I tell you, whoever is not born again cannot see the kingdom of God. Listen, Jesus, isn't he proposing conversion to you? Only Jesus. Isn't he proposing change to you? Jesus is proposing that you be born again. What does it mean to be born again? It means doing everything differently. It means being different. Oh, Father, nothing in my life works out. You know why nothing in your life works out. I'm sorry to tell you it's your fault. It's your fault because you only hang out with toxic people who put you down. It's your fault because you only frequent toxic places. It's your fault because you only add up the same attitudes. Those who add up the same attitudes always achieve the same results. That's why the Lord is telling you that you need to be born again, be born again, be born again, to the point where people who live with you say, so-and-so, I don't recognize you, and you're going to look at them and say, that's great, that's the goal, not to recognize me. Because I didn't change my clothes, I didn't change my haircut. I was born again, I was born again, I was born again in you. I am more than a conqueror. Wow, I was born again. I was born again. Make me see how I am a new creation. I am, or am I a new creation? Is it being born again? It's not changing clothes. It's like new clothes and old clothes. Stop patching up your life. One day a woman came to me. I must have told you this before. Did her husband cheat on her? I said once, forgive me? The second time she came to me, she forgave. The third time, she forgave, yes, very quickly, one after the other. The fourth time I called him and said, let me ask you something. You have to make a choice. Which priest was it? Either you break up or you stay there, married to your husband, knowing that he's going to adulterate you for the rest of your life because it's one, it's two, it's three, it's four the ones you know. If we get over 4 by 4, she looked at me and said, I'm going to stay with my husband. And I said, so from today on, know that you will spend your whole life being betrayed because you accepted your husband's condition of adultery. There are situations in life that do not change. Do you know why? Because deep down we accept these conditions. It's that famous pregnancy scam. Woman, I'm going to get pregnant because he's going to stay with me, isn't he? And if he does, I feel sorry for you, for a man who stays by your side because of the child and not because he loves you. A man has to stay by your side because he loves you. Doesn't he just love the child? Stop accepting certain conditions in your life and live a false happiness, like many couples live on appearances. So, we need to get out of this condition. Nicodemus asked, how can a man be reborn when he's old? How can I change, Father? How can I change? I've been in this relationship for 25 years. You can change, yes. Can you change? Life is made of choices. You have the choices in your hands. You can choose, yes. The choice is yours. Our fear, do you know what our big problem is? It's because we're so lazy. We like our comfort zone. We're so comfortable that we're afraid to start over. Start your life over. And stop living a false joy, a false joy. Stop it. Stop. Abraham and Sarah were old when they lived in Ur of Chaldees. God said, leave everything and go to the happiness that I have for you. They were old. They left everything and went after happiness, and they found it. But I tell you, if you continue sitting on your couch with your cell phone in your hand, scrolling through Instagram all your life, you won't be happy. You need to get up. You need to have one. Take action. You need to take action. Get out of your comfort zone. Get out of your comfort zone. Get out. Get out. Get out of your comfort zone. Get out. Get out. Get out. Get your projects off the ground. You're not a designer. To keep drawing your projects on paper, you have to be an architect. You have to be an engineer. You have to be a builder. You have to put plans into part of chaos. Stop drawing on paper. It's beautiful. Put it into practice. Put it into practice. Put it into practice. Put it into practice. Can a man become an old man and enter again into his mother's womb? Jesus, he said to you, Verily, verily, I say unto you, except a man be born again of water and the Spirit, he cannot enter into the kingdom of God. Jesus Christ's proposal to me, to you, today is to be born again. It is to be born of water and the Spirit. It is to get out of these old habits. It is to get out of these things. Get out. Abandon, let go. Stop it. Get out. We thank you for being part of this community. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe so you don't miss future explorations, and invite your friends to explore with us.